All right, so here we have our rogue. I'm just gonna go over the features and traits, just to save some time at the table. If you have any questions, you can let me know. This isn't like meant for you to like have everything down packed by the time we start playing. Just a little bit of a run-through tutorial of what things look like and what they can mean. That way we have more time to play. But again, no issue if you have questions trying to understanding things, whether beforehand or at the table. And so, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right at it. So a lot of everything, as far as all these numbers and things, it does a lot of the math for you. All that's required is you roll and then add whatever the numbers say. And so I'll ask for, like, if you're trying to see if somebody's lying, so give me an insight check, you would roll a d20 and then add 12 to it. So a lot of the crunchy math is taken out thanks to the system here. Each turn you get what's called an action, a bonus action, and your movement speed. And so the action is like your main thing you're doing. A bonus action is a quick offhand thing that you're doing. Your speed is 40. You could use that going just to move around the map. And each round you get one reaction, which could be triggered by somebody else's turn doing something. It allows you to follow up with a reaction. So going into your own features and traits, we have your sneak attack. This is the bread and butter of the rogue. And so with the rogue, you'll notice that the weapons that you have don't necessarily do a ton of damage. And that's because your damage comes from sneak attack. And so if you have advantage on them, which is either from flanking somebody or you're attacking from a hidden place or an obscured place, or if you have an ally within 5 feet of that target, you get advantage. And so you have a 8d6 damage you add on top of, for the, like your dart, it would be a d4 plus 8d6. You add that all together, add your dex. Again, it does all the math for you here. Let's see. A lot of this stuff is some just passive things that I'll usually skip over, but like Thieves Can't, you just have an extra language you could speak in Thief. So let's see. Your longsword sap. If you hit something with your longsword, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack. Your dart vex is the opposite, where it gives you advantage on your next attack against that. So a good follow up if you have like action, bonus action, you could use your bonus action to offhand dart. If you hit, then you get advantage with your longsword, which then gives it disadvantage on its next attack. So that's, something you could run through. On your turn, you get to either dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action, as opposed to an action. Every other class, except for the monk, these are full actions, but for you they're bonus actions. So if you wanted to quickly bonus action hide and then pop out and do an attack to get your ton of damage, you could do that. If you want to, if you're doing a usually it's for a ranged attack, but if you are up against something, you could sacrifice all your movement speed to give yourself advantage. So if you're like going against somebody that you don't have an ally next to, you could just be like, I'm not moving this turn, I'm using all my movement to steady my shot. Gives you advantage, which gives you the sneak attack damage. Your subclass gives you psionic powers, so you get psychic abilities. You have 10 uses of these charges, so these psionic energy dice. They're all the d10, so that's just the shape of the die, the 10-sided die. You get 10 of those. Starting out, some things that you get is if you have proficiency, so say like you're rolling, I ask for a survival check and you roll like a 2, you could then roll a d10 and try to turn it into a success, and if it fails, you keep the die. It only expends if it works, which is really good as opposed to other classes. So that means that you don't waste it if things don't work. It's only used, and this goes across the board going forward, it's only like used up and expended if it helps you succeed in what you're trying to do. Let's see, we have Psionic Whispers, which you get to roll this, and that many hours you get to choose. Let's see. You get to choose. So with the whole party, you could be like, I want to psychically be able to have conversations with these people up to, like, say you roll a 3 on the dice for 3 hours. So that's something you could do if you feel like you need to be talking in secret. Let's see. They can't talk to each other. So, like, Drexel and Val can't talk to each other through the thing. They could talk to you and ask you to send the messages, but we could shorthand that at the table and just sort of have an open channel through you. So that's fun. Let's see. We have your dice here. This is just explaining, like, how much you get at a certain level. So at 13 to 16, you get 10d10. So that's all that's saying. Your let's see. Your psychic blade. So if you're Vex. Let's see, what does Vex do? Okay. I will see what Vex does. So, what your psychic blades do. So it doesn't do what your dart. Oh, it does. So you could either use your psychics or your darts. So it's the same thing. It gives you advantage on the next attack that you use. Let's see, it does a d6 as a base. It leaves no mark because it's just your psychic energy. You could use it as a melee weapon as well, so you could use this to stab as well as throw. Here's your range, so anything within 60 feet, you could roll to hit no problem. Between 60 and 120 feet, you have to roll with disadvantage, which means you roll the d20 twice and take the lower number. Anything beyond 120 feet, you can't even try to hit it. 120 feet for a dagger is very impressive. Let's see. So, okay, your first blade is a d6 plus your ability modifier. As a bonus action, you could throw a second one. So you could do 2 daggers or a dart and a dagger. And then the second attack is a d4. Let's see. Skulker, you pretty much get better hiding. If you miss from the shadows, they still can't know your location. And you have 10 feet of blind sight, which means if someone does something like that blinds you, you can still see within 10 feet. Here is some things you could use when you sneak attack. So out of all that sneak attack dice that we had before, the 8d6, you could spend it to do other things. So instead of doing damage, you could instead poison the person you're attacking. You could trip them, or you could try to move away without you getting hit. For their reactions, try to hit you for moving where you want to be. And so this is a good way. So you could spend a lot of it on damage, or you could spend it to do these extra things. When you get attacked, a reaction you could take is you half the damage against you, and you get that once per round. It just costs a reaction. Let's see. Evasion. If I ask you to make a dexterity saving throw, means that if you fail it, you only take half damage, and if you succeed, you take no damage at all. And you just get that forever. So it makes it really hard for me to use like spells like fireball or area of effect things, because you could avoid a lot of damage that way. When you any of these skills, if you roll a 9 or lower, no you didn't, you rolled a 10 is pretty much what this means. You cannot roll lower than a 10 with anything with these dots, which means it's really hard to fail most tests when it comes to that. Alert, your initiative count goes up a lot, which means you get higher chance of going first. You also get to switch your initiative spot with somebody else. So if you wanted like a spellcaster to like lay the ground, like you wanted Callie or Druid to sort of put some stuff on the battlefield, you could switch with her to make sure she goes first, to make sure that happens if you wanted to. Let's see. You could use your dice to make sure you hit. So if you're like just short of hitting somebody, you could roll a d10 and try to hit them. To like, especially if you're trying to get a sneak attack in. Again, if you miss, it doesn't take away that die. It only expends when you succeed. You could also teleport. So if you like roll like a 4, you could teleport 40 feet somewhere, which means you could teleport up to 100 feet if you need to, which could be good about getting out of tricky situations or into good opportunities. Let's see. You could use those effects that we said before, like poisoning and tripping. You could choose up to 2 of them as opposed to just doing 1. You could choose to go invisible if you wanted to as an action. You get 1 for free. Anything after this first one, you then would have to spend an energy die to make that happen. But you can attack out of invisibility to get your sneak attack damage. Once you attack, your invisibility's gone. Here are some more cunning strike options. You could daze. Which means it pretty much limits them to only doing an action or a bonus action on their turn. You could spend 6 of your 8 for your the sneak attack to potentially make them go unconscious, and then every round they would try to roll to see if they could wake up, or but if you hit them, they're back up. So it's going to be like, hey, I'm taking this guy out of the fight. He's down, so we can focus on other people. And then you could, or try to blind them by spending 3. And remember, again, you could pick 2 of any of the 6 that you have options for. Let's see. It already gave you proficiency in these. You have Slippery in Mind. It's harder to like charm you or trick you. Let's see. You get these spells for free for being an elf. You just get some free spells. And then here's just like everything else. Looks like you are also lucky, which means that anytime you make a d20 test, which is attacking, saving throw, or ability check, you could say, I don't like that roll, I'm going to roll again. So you get 5 of those. That also works for when you're being attacked. You could have them roll and take the lower number. Here we have everything. It's just organized differently, but this is where all the numbers are. It does all the math for you. This means to hit. So if I'm like try to hit, you would add 10. If you hit, then you would do the damage. Everything's just organized a little differently here, so you can see what your actions are for your action, your bonus actions. Here's what you have, and then like your reaction. So remember, action and bonus action you get once a turn. Reaction you get once a round. Other than that, everything else we could explain at the table. We could go over this again. This is just a very rough, quick hit pocket class to get things rolling a little smoother at the table. So thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to playing.